When encountering a situation where a panel board has limited access, it's important to address the issue systematically. The recommended approach involves several steps. Firstly, communicate with the homeowner. Explain the National Electrical Code requirement for having 3 feet of clear space in front of the panel board. Emphasize that this clearance is crucial for safety and accessibility, especially in emergency situations. Secondly, explore alternative solutions. Suggest options such as moving the workbench, modifying it to allow for proper access, or even installing another panel board in a more accessible location. Thirdly, document the situation thoroughly. Take photos to provide visual evidence of the limited access. Make detailed notes about any potential hazards or obstacles present. Fourthly, decline the service if necessary. If the homeowner refuses to provide adequate access, it is appropriate and justifiable to decline performing the electrical service. Clearly explain that proceeding with the work would constitute a violation of the National Electrical Code and could potentially put the occupants and the property at significant risk. Fifthly, refer to a higher authority if needed. If the homeowner remains unwilling to comply with safety regulations, contact the local building inspector or electrical licensing board. These entities typically possess the authority to issue code violations or mandate necessary modifications to ensure compliance. In addition to the recommended approach, there are alternative options that can be considered in certain situations. Firstly, using extenders may be feasible. If the panel board is partially accessible, using tools and equipment with extended reach can allow for some manipulation and access while maintaining a safer distance from any obstructions. Secondly, cutting an access panel might be an option. If structurally feasible, consider carefully cutting a small access panel in the workbench. This panel should be large enough to allow for necessary manipulation of the panel board components. Thirdly, installing a remote disconnect switch could be a solution. Install a remote disconnect switch in an accessible and unobstructed location. This switch would provide a means to quickly and safely shut off power to the circuits in case of an emergency, even when direct access to the panel board is limited. Safety considerations are paramount when dealing with obstructed panel boards. Firstly, ensure that the workbench or any other obstruction is stable and secure. Verify that there is no risk of the obstruction falling onto the panel board or causing further hazards. Secondly, exercise extreme caution when climbing over or maneuvering around obstacles to access the panel. Take slow, deliberate steps and maintain 3 points of contact whenever possible. Thirdly, always use appropriate personal protective equipment. This may include gloves for electrical protection and safety glasses to shield your eyes from potential hazards. It is crucial to understand the legal implications of working on or around panel boards with limited access. Failure to provide or maintain clear access to a panel board can create legal liability in the event of an electrical accident or injury. Therefore, it is of utmost importance to meticulously document the situation, clearly communicate your concerns to the homeowner, and retain records of all communications and actions taken. Now let's delve into some of the more technical aspects related to panel board access and safety. Article 110.26 of the National Electrical Code addresses the working space about electrical equipment. It mandates that sufficient access and working space shall be provided and maintained about all electrical equipment to permit ready and safe operation and maintenance of such equipment. Specifically, this section stipulates requirements for clear working space in front of electrical equipment, including panel boards. The depth of the working space is dictated by the voltage to ground, Condition 1, Condition 2, and Condition 3. For instance, for equipment operating at 150 volts to ground or less, a minimum of 3 feet of clear working space is required in front of the equipment when there are exposed live parts on one side and no live or grounded parts on the other side of the working space, or where exposed live parts are on both sides but are effectively protected by insulation. This falls under Condition 1. For equipment operating at 151 to 600 volts to ground, the minimum clear working space increases to 3 feet under Condition 1. Under Condition 2, where there are exposed live parts on one side and grounded parts on the other side, the minimum working space is 3.5 feet for equipment operating at 151 to 600 volts. Under condition 3, where there are exposed live parts on both sides of the equipment, the minimum working space is 4 feet for equipment operating at 151 to 600 volts. The width of the working space shall be the width of the equipment, or 30 inches, whichever is greater. This ensures that there is adequate room to maneuver and work safely. The height of the working space shall be 6.5 feet, or the height of the equipment, whichever is greater. This provides sufficient headroom for personnel to perform their tasks without being unduly restricted. In addition to the clear working space requirements, Article 110.26 C of the National Electrical Code addresses the need for clear access and egress. It mandates that at least one entrance of sufficient area shall give access to the working space about electrical equipment. For equipment rated 1200 amps or more and over 6 feet wide that contains overcurrent devices, there shall be an entrance at each end of the working space. The doors or gates giving access to the working space shall be designed to permit ready escape. Doors that swing into the working space shall be permitted provided that the space required for the door to swing open does not encroach on the required working space. It is also crucial to consider the potential for arc flash hazards when working on or near energized panel boards. An arc flash is a dangerous condition that can occur when a short circuit creates a high-energy electrical explosion. The intense heat and pressure from an arc flash can cause severe burns, injuries, and even fatalities. To mitigate the risks associated with arc flash hazards, it is essential to conduct a thorough arc flash risk assessment before commencing any work on or near energized panel boards. This assessment should involve identifying potential arc flash hazards, estimating the incident energy levels, and determining the appropriate personal protective equipment required. Personal protective equipment for arc flash protection typically includes flame-resistant clothing, safety glasses, face shields, gloves, and hearing protection. The level of protection required depends on the estimated incident energy level at the working distance. The National Fire Protection Association 78E standard provides detailed guidance on arc flash hazard assessment and personal protective equipment requirements. In addition to personal protective equipment, there are other safety measures that can be implemented to reduce the risk of arc flash incidents. These include energizing the equipment whenever possible, using insulated tools and equipment, maintaining safe working distances, and providing adequate training to personnel. If it is not possible to de-energize the equipment, consider using remote racking devices to operate circuit breakers from a safe distance. These devices allow technicians to open and close circuit breakers without being directly exposed to the potential hazards of an arc flash. Another important aspect of panel board safety is proper labeling and identification. All circuits and overcurrent devices in the panel board should be clearly labeled to indicate the equipment or areas they serve. This helps to prevent accidental energization or de-energization of circuits, which could lead to equipment damage or personal injury. The label should be durable and easy to read, even in low light conditions. Regularly inspect the panel board for any signs of damage or deterioration. Look for things like loose connections, corroded components, and damaged insulation. If any problems are found, they should be addressed promptly to prevent further damage or potential hazards. If you are not qualified to perform the necessary repairs, contact a licensed electrician. When working on or near panel boards, always follow lockout/tagout procedures to ensure that the circuits are de-energized and cannot be accidentally energized while you are working. Lockout/tagout procedures involve disconnecting the power source, applying a lock to the disconnecting means, and attaching a tag to the lock indicating that the equipment is out of service. This helps to prevent accidental energization of the circuits while you are working. Also, consider the environmental conditions in which the panel board is located. Panel boards located in damp or corrosive environments may require special protection to prevent damage and ensure safe operation. For example, panel boards located in outdoor or wet locations should be housed in weatherproof enclosures. It is also important to ensure that the panel board is properly grounded. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, which helps to protect against electric shock hazards. The grounding system should be inspected regularly to ensure that it is intact and functioning properly. When installing a new panel board, be sure to follow all applicable codes and standards. This includes the National Electrical Code, as well as any local codes or regulations. The panel board should be installed in a location that is readily accessible and provides adequate working space. The panel board should also be securely mounted and properly supported. When selecting a panel board, be sure to choose one that is appropriately rated for the intended application. The panel board should have sufficient capacity to handle the expected load, and it should be equipped with the appropriate overcurrent protection devices. Overcurrent protection devices, such as circuit breakers and fuses, are designed to protect the circuits from overloads and short circuits. These devices should be sized appropriately for the circuits they protect, and they should be tested regularly to ensure that they are functioning properly. Panel boards are often located in basements, which can be prone to flooding. If the panel board is located in a basement, it should be elevated above the floor to protect it from water damage. It is also a good idea to install a sump pump to remove any water that may accumulate in the basement. Animals and pests can also pose a threat to panel boards. Rodents, insects, and other pests can damage wiring and components, which can lead to electrical hazards. To prevent this, seal any openings in the panel board enclosure and take steps to control pests in the area. It is also important to keep the area around the panel board clean and free of debris. Dust, dirt, and other contaminants can accumulate on the components and cause them to overheat. Regularly clean the panel board to remove any buildup of dust or dirt. Before beginning any work on or near a panel board, take the time to carefully assess the situation and identify any potential hazards. Develop a plan for how to safely perform the work, and be sure to follow all safety precautions. If you are not qualified to perform the work safely, contact a licensed electrician. Ignoring safety precautions can lead to serious injuries or even death. Electrical safety is everyone's responsibility. By following the guidelines outlined above, you can help to ensure that panel boards are operated and maintained safely. Remember to prioritize safety and seek professional help when needed.